Welcome, everybody. Today is Friday. Not much happened. It's been a pretty chill day. What we're seeing in the Bitcoin chart is some flatness. We're just chilling at the top, really. Current price of 102,000. Wow, it's a big number. $820. Around the same where we were yesterday. Yesterday, we did reach a high of 104,000. And we kind of decided to chill near this resistance 3 level that I have at 103,000. So currently using that as our resistance. Hi Bradley, welcome to this stream. Let me get my OBS connected there. All right. Don't buy right now. That's a terrible idea. Don't buy right now. Right now, it's mainly a take profit time. You're going to notice a lot of people taking profits, and yeah, practically what we can see based off of the price action of the chart. What's going to happen in the upcoming days? Not much. More of the same. RSI is going to kind of diverge a bit over here, where it's going to start coming down a little bit. What we call this? Like a little bit of a decay. While the price also does something similar, or ranging between this area that we have over here. I drew these new levels. 105,015. I have to draw it on my perpetual futures though. Okay, let me do that real quick. I was on the wrong account there. Let me go get this here. Because before, what we had this before, right? These previous Fibonacci levels. The next one we already know, it's our all-time high level. But from here, we do need to know where are we heading to next. So we do have some of the pivot levels, right? We got 105,000, 108,000, and then our all-time high at 110,000. We could basically call this. I'm going to delete that, and I'll explain why. We have a nice chart going on over here. We're using this as our uptrend, so I would use these 2 points for a fib extension, given as well our middle point at the all-time high level. So what I'm going to do is draw a trend-based fib extension from the... it's going to look ugly, but I'll fix it. Yeah, we got a bit of a pride flag going on here. I'm going to get rid of that real quick. Just bear with me. I'm just put these random blue colors. I like the blue colors instead. And also get rid of this background. I don't know who actually can focus on a chart with all those colors. Gosh, it's hideous to look at. Makes me cringe sometimes. I don't know. All right. This is almost done. There. I think that looks neater. I will also put labels on the right side, middle, text in the center middle. Font size, we can drop that to 10. I like to keep things tinier, or maybe we'll do 11. You know what? Maybe 12 is fine. For Fibonacci specifically, just so that I could see the levels, right? The trend line can be a little thinner, and the levels can also be thinner with dashed lines, and extend them to the right. There we go. That's what I like to see. And also, this seems a little too opaque. Yeah, need a bit more transparency on that so we don't see it too often. But yeah, this is what we're expecting, and this is what we can see in the weekly chart as well. I think I could get rid of these little dark red, dark green zones. We're far above that at this point. We're above 100,000, so we're now worrying about what's going to happen next. We have that resistance at the 104,000 that I mentioned, so that is currently in play. What is next? 112,000 after we break out of our all-time high, which I will also draw a line for right over there. Why is it like this? Go dashed line, that's better. That way we can see where we can be heading next. And what's interesting is what comes next, right here. 122,000 looks good. And then maybe this could be a target for, I would say, what's next? June, July. July could be there. August. I don't know how fast we're going to reach this. I think there is going to be a bit of slowness along the way. I mean, we still have essentially this uptrend to follow, but I think this one is going to be... it's going to be defined later on, far into our cycle, when we've peaked at a high level, like, I don't even know, 180, 200,000 maybe, if we're lucky. Then we'll start to see us slow down, coming back to this uptrend line that we held for a very long time, since August 5th, recession fear, to our lowest point when we reached 74,000. back in, when was this? April, yeah. Okay, so that's what we're currently seeing. Back to our pivot levels as well. Let me go up here again. We're chilling at this zone. This resistance coincides right over here, about 105,000, we could call it. Fine. 108, 109, 112. That's what we got so far. Although these levels will likely be reset once again, pivot levels will reset every week. So we got to wait and see when that happens, which is likely going to be Sunday evening. We'll get new pivot levels to further determine, based on the volatility that we got, where can we be heading to next. Wouldn't surprise me if it coincides with any of these two levels over here. In terms of the downside, easily identified 100,000 is our support. We're currently at this level right here, but after that, if we do break our support 100,000, three things coincide over here. And it can give some time as well, right? The uptrend, the super trend at 97,000, well 98 we'll call it. We'll call this 98,000. Resistance 1 for this pivot current level, and also this Fibonacci that we have, the extension, perfectly coinciding at around late 97, early 98,000. So 98,000 seems to be our next support, worst case scenario. Yeah, because then it would give us some more choppiness, and it will take us a longer time to kind of reload and take off once again. And we do not like to see Bitcoin under 100,000. I think the optimism is starting to come back into the market, especially with institutional investors, which we'll get into later on. So it's going to happen, right? Let me just do that. There we go. So what is next? Let's have a look at why is Ethereum swapped places. Bitcoin is been taken care of. 0% movement today. Ethereum, on the other hand, it's showing a 6% movement upwards. We actually did continue to see an increase in the price of Ethereum after yesterday. We already knew that it broke through all of its resistances, given the low volatility and not high expectations. Well, safe to say it surpassed all of everybody's expectations, I would say. Back down here at 1,800, good luck. You're not going to see Ethereum under 2,000. So we reached a high of 2,489, almost 2,500, but massive rejection of that zone immediately, further proving that this 2,425 is our resistance, and that's where we're currently chilling at the moment. I guess we're trying to find also a support level where that would be. As of right now, it's pointing at 2,200 approximately. It's better if we get our next pivot levels, especially given this volatility that we got. So it's better to wait until Sunday evening. By then, I don't think we're going to get too much movement in the market. It typically doesn't happen. Friday evenings are slow because Asian markets are closed. Saturday is slow because US and Asian markets are closed. Sunday is also in the morning, of typically low volatility until like the afternoon, evening. That is when Asian markets start picking back up again. And yeah, that's when we can start kind of deciding where we'll be heading next. 12 hours after Asian markets open, US market opens, and we'll further determine that movement based on that sentiment. Let's look at Solana. Great movement from Solana, reaching a high of 176 yesterday, currently at 171, and we're right smack in the middle of that Fibonacci level. Perfect. Seems like most coins have found a specific level to kind of get magnetized and stick onto. So that's what we're currently seeing there. It's up 5.94% today. That's great. I did take some profits on Solana as well on my main. So, I mean, deserved, right? We held through, can you imagine this? Solana dropped to 90, what? 95. That is diabolical, right? We have not seen those kind of levels since 2023. Lowest point ever, like all around 2024 was that 112 support level that I had drawn over here, which we hit a couple times, right? Over here, over here, over here. This February 2024, but then the 95 level, okay, maybe I exaggerated. We kind of did see at the beginning of 2024. Sure, that's where we took off from. And that's why we kind of used it as a bit of a support when we dropped that far low, April 7, Black Monday. And since then, yeah, the 112 has been a decent support, which unfortunately got broken on that day, or fortunately, if you were fortunate enough to purchase on that day. And right now you'd be reaping all those rewards. From that recovery, you're looking at a 70% recovery. Just goes to show the power of Solana. It's so good. Next resistance, we got 180 and then 195 based off of what I can see for now. We're currently at one of the levels at 171. Yeah. XRP 1% up today, 235, not too bad. Testing this downtrend, which unfortunately we were not able to break out of. So, you know, there's that rejection there. Confirms that it's crucial, a crucial resistance that we got to break out of. And this must be readjusted, unfortunately, given that rejection that we saw. Can it be broken? Absolutely. And I think it will, and the breakout will be great for XRP as well. 250 is our next resistance after that. I wouldn't pay too much attention to this pivot resistance. It's going to get readjusted soon. Currently using one of them, previous resistance now, as a support at 233. Current price is 235 almost. So it's looking good. We did get a nice pump for XRP from here to here. That's what, a 14% pump. So it didn't stay behind, and we already confirmed yesterday that the super trend flipping got flipped back. So uptrend can still be drawn. It used to be over here. It did get broken, but now we can just simply readjust a new uptrend from our low point over here to this low point. And the super trend should also follow this as we continue to either stay choppy or continue further upwards. I do think we will likely continue further upward. As of right now, super trend is coinciding with the first support pivot at 209. So looking good for XRP there too. Overall, positive outlooks for most of these coins. Sui also magnetized at the 390 something levels. Current price is 392. This specific Fibonacci level is at 397. This bullish flag pattern, it literally played out as expected. So that is excellent. I will remove these downtrends for now. Trend never flipped bearish, so this is great. Although this is a bit of a steeper uptrend, can be broken, so just be cautious with that. If it does, we still got another one longer term, which will be great. It's just that Sui had such an explosive movement, has risen much faster than the rest of the other coins, hence why today it's showing a 2% drop, but really that's not even that bad. We were at $4.10, we're at $3.92. The volatility on this coin is much higher compared to the rest, hence why I love it so much. It's still making me money. I took some profits yesterday, still holding on to some more today, and look at that RSI divergence. It's perfect, right? This means that we can still continue rising over here without being considered overbought again, giving it more space to rise, right? Sui's run is not over. It's still just getting started, in my opinion. But man, this recovery or growth is just insane. From the low point to where we are right now, that's a 120% pump compared to what I showed you with Solana. Much better option over here. Cardano, on the other hand, don't know what this is. 60% recovery on the rise. Currently up 1.59%. 77 cents is the current price. Using these couple resistance over here, that did work. First resistance at 82, we reached a high of 81,787. Second resistance is kind of, we're in the middle of these two, right? I would say. First one's at 79, bottom one's at 76, currently at 77. You can practically say we're in the middle, 77.7, right? Not too bad for Cardano as well. In terms of a downtrend, we still have a big one that we're expected to break once we approach $1. So there's still a long way to go for Cardano. Why is it not rising? Well, likely because of the fact that Trump had to fire one of the people in the White House who kind of made him tweet out that crypto strategic reserve announcements, which involved Ripple, which involved Cardano, which involved Solana, right? It was odd because it was only those three that were tweeted out, and then later on another post was made like, oh, by the way, Bitcoin and Ethereum are great too, guys, haha. Yeah, apparently Trump didn't really approve of that tweet or Truth Social post, And the guy who made it had some ties with XRP, so that guy got fired, and now there's probably a bit of drama between Trump and XRP he doesn't really like. XRP really has been kind of letting Trump down, in my opinion. First of all, Brad Garlinghouse stupidly donates to Kamala Harris's campaign during the elections. Kamala Harris was planning to promote Gary Gensler. Trump was planning to fire Gary Gensler. Why Gary Gensler important to XRP? Because he was the head of the Securities Exchange Commission who was suing the company XRP, thinking it's a security and not a commodity. Am I saying that right? I think I am. So it's like, why would you donate to Kamala Harris's campaign, who is literally trying to bring your company down indirectly, right? Didn't make sense, in my opinion, but you do what you want with your money and your company. I have not always been a fan of XRP. Still not really. Still a bit skeptical. I know it's a good project. I know it is. But in terms of growth, it's like, oh, come on. I know it, like I said, it is going to be a good project. It has good fundamentals. I think it will be better than Sui in the long run, is what I have said. But for this bull run, I know for sure Sui will be better than XRP. In terms of Cardano, Charles Hoskinson is also kind of involved in the White House, right? He said he would start getting involved a bit in the government to help vote with crypto stuff. So maybe Cardano is also sort of impacted by this, sort of. But then Solana should be too, right? The difference with Solana is that it has a lot of meme coins, of course, in there. And if you'll notice, the meme coins have been pumping. They're kind of back, right? I could go to memes. And yeah, you'll see most of these memes are in the green today with massive amounts, right? Over 10% on some of them. So given that, of course, top meme coin provider is Solana. That's why we're still seeing a bit of a pump for it. 5% up today. Let's move over to Litecoin, which is up 9% today. It was much higher, actually. It reached a new high. 100 was broken very easily, and I mentioned this yesterday. Easy way we can break 100. Simple for Litecoin. Deserves it. And it did. It slowed down over here. I think this is overnight. Am I wrong? Yeah, I'm right. May 9. Yeah, May 9. This happened overnight and kind of slowed down. Obviously, big rejection at 100, but we retested it again, and this time we absolutely broke through it, reaching a new high of 107. New high from our recovery. Of course, we've been much higher. We've been at 140. Next target is looking at 110. We slowed down at this resistance zone, I would call it, right? 105 was where we had one of our resistance levels from pivots. So it slowed down over here. Its current price is $103.69. And I wonder what actually caused this breakout. Do we have any news for Litecoin? I could check on Twitter just quickly. Litecoin. It's rocketing to the moon. Yep, we know. Embrace the chaos. Okay, go Litecoin. Litecoin. I don't think there's really much specific news. Volume spikes, just whale accumulation, it just seems like. Yep, that's practically what it seems. So no real fundamentals behind the move, just whale accumulation. The FOMO is getting into them, so they're starting to rebuy again. There's also that looming thing in the background of there might be the Litecoin ETFs approved. Again, the percentage was increased. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago that I showed. It was probably last week, right? That's why we saw a bit of hype over here. Yeah, it was last week. And yeah, maybe that hype is still kind of coming back. I should probably also check CMC, Litecoin. Let's go to the news. 16 hours ago, that's not it. And SEC decision on Litecoin ETF expected today. That just got delayed, right? 90% approval chance, potential market boost if approved. It got delayed. This got delayed to end of month May. So, still nothing confirmed there. but the optimism is here. FOMO is kicking in, and that's all the real explanation I can give behind the 9% movement today. Why is Ethereum over here? This is annoying. I want this switched over. All right. Bitcoin, 102,982, almost 103,000 again. We're really sticking close to this R3. All right, nice. Let's get to some news here. That's all I got for technical analysis. Let's talk about Ontario, the province that I live in here in Canada. So there's a big trouble. This post was posted way before May 4, but I didn't talk about it because I didn't have sufficient information. But now that we got more economic data on this, and especially the Bank of Canada also talked on this, I now have a bit more to speak on the subject. So let's go through it. First of all, job vacancies are down 24.4% from 2023 numbers across all industries except the public sector. Unemployment increased in all Ontario's CMA last year. Employment growth was the second slowest out of all provinces in Canada last year. Unemployment rate of 7%, highest since 2014 besides pandemic. Private sector employment growth is at 1% versus 3.3% in the public sector. Labor force participation of youth fell to 59.7%, which is the lowest record outside pandemic years. I am included in there. Ontario's youth has the lowest labor participation out of all provinces in Canada. Self-employment is 3.1% below 2019 levels. Oh, and its real estate is barely holding onto mass immigration-based Ponzi scheme. And, okay, let me reread that. Its real estate is barely holding on to mass immigration-based Ponzi scheme and already down double digits from peak prices. Meanwhile, the Ontario Premier Doug Ford is spending his time promoting cookies and backstabbing Conservatives. So that was obviously one big point. He kind of betrayed the Conservative Party. It's not looking good. There's more on this, though. Bank of Canada warns that 60% of Canada will face soaring mortgage rates soon. There's job cuts looming. Defaults are ready to explode. The credit is dying up fast. It's not looking that great. A lot of houses selling for much less, which that might sound cool, right? Oh, okay, houses are cheaper, but no. I think it's people are just getting desperate. The bottom falling out of the Ontario housing market will be the Canadian story of 2025. A lot of experts are literally talking about this as well, that it will be catastrophic. Not looking that great. I have noticed this as well. A lot of houses have suddenly, in my area, gone for sale and are getting sold very quickly as well, relatively quickly. I think this is a good season to buy and sell, I think. And when we go check what the prices they got sold for, they're painfully lower than expected, right? The unemployment rate in Ontario and Canada has increased by 0.2%, so it's now a 6.9% unemployment rate. For comparison, US has 4% unemployment rate, which is the target, usually what the Fed likes to see anyway. It's going to be roughly around that spot, and there will always be unemployed people given different circumstances, but 6.9% in April, it's the highest we've seen it in Canada in 8 years, not counting the pandemic, of course. So it's not looking good. Mark Carney's got a lot of work to do here, and let's just hope he is as good as he says, because I didn't vote that guy in. Unemployment rate, 6.9%. Canadian epicenter, Ontario, has a 7.8% unemployment rate. In Toronto, it's over 10%. So it's not looking that great, is it? Overpopulation. Not enough housing, not enough jobs. Needs to be fixed. That's all I wanted to talk about for Ontario. $3 billion worth of Bitcoin and Ethereum options are set to expire today. This is something interesting. I kind of do want to start getting into options trading a little bit more. And I'm assuming you can do it with Bitcoin and Ethereum thanks to the ETFs. And usually, the contracts that you would buy with options expire on Fridays usually. And this Friday seems to be a bigger one, which could bring some volatility to the market today, which it seems like it didn't. But it seems like, you know, if you did have options already and you were going long, for example, you would have already exercised your option, if it's like a buy call or whatever it is, to take any profits based on the previous rise, which explains why we have not continued rising today. That could be one of the explanations why. Next, we're waiting for Ryan Cohen to buy Bitcoin still. The guy didn't listen to me. I gave him a phone call. He didn't want to buy Bitcoin at 76,000, 74,000. I was like, hey, you guys are raising $1 billion to buy Bitcoin, and you have 6 billion cash on hand for your company, GameStop. Why aren't you buying Bitcoin? And the guy didn't reply. So have fun staying poor, I guess. Are you going to buy Bitcoin at a higher price, at 100,000? Look, as of... Okay, new report. Actually, this is a lie. What happened here? Anyways, $4 billion cash on hand. I guess they revised data or they changed it or something. We used to have October data, but now we have January 2025 data. They have $4.77 billion cash on hand. This company, GameStop, a meme stock that we all know of. Ryan Cohen, CEO, he's stopped services in Canada. Just goes to further prove the point that Canada's economy is bad. He'd rather move the company to the United States. And he promised he would be buying Bitcoin. He's a good friend of Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor, of course, we know with his MicroStrategy, was able to revive his stock, MicroStrategy, from being worth pennies in 2002. I think I shared a post yesterday about that. And today, of course, it's worth 400 something, whatever it is. MicroStrategy, let me go find. I haven't checked, but I know it's been rising. MicroStrategy, 40%, 0.40% up. It reached a high of 430 today in the morning. Kind of came down a little bit and ends up at 413. It's making new highs, though. That's great. Slowing down at this fib level, that's fine as well. Next target, 476 for MicroStrategy. That's probably where I would be taking some of my profits for MicroStrategy. But Bitcoin would have to be making, of course, new all-time highs for us to even consider seeing this level, unless he announces something crazy, because this company has been getting bad earnings every single time. The only reason MicroStrategy is rising or has any form of volatility is because of the Bitcoin that they have as a strategic asset, right? So that's kind of what we're also expecting to see with GameStop, GME, which we've seen price spikes whenever, you know, Bitcoin strategic reserve is possibly announced, or people just insider trading against hedge fund managers to try to liquidate the shorts as a big FU to Wall Street, right? I think this is the day that they announced, oh, GameStop will be buying Bitcoin. It pumps up something crazy like this. Could have been, no, this one's due to earnings report. Yeah, next earnings report for this is June 4. Nice. So just got to wait and see what they do. Speaking of MicroStrategy and other stocks that hold Bitcoin, Coinbase does hold some Bitcoin as well. And it also has its market fluctuations given the volatility and the price of Bitcoin. Imagine this though. Coinbase, they did say that they did consider Michael Saylor's Bitcoin strategy, but then at the end, they decided against it. Brian Armstrong, the Coinbase co-founder and CEO, says that there were definitely moments over the last 12 years, where we thought, man, we should put 80% of our balance sheet into Bitcoin specifically. That's crazy. So they even thought about this even before Michael Saylor was doing this whole Bitcoin strategic reserve thing. 12 years, that's crazy. When I first saw this post, I swear that said 12 months. Yeah, maybe Coinbase would have been much larger than where it is. I mean, when was Coinbase founded? 2012. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'll give you the pass. This is also quite intriguing. Mixed feelings from the people. Bill Gates says that he will be giving away 99% of his wealth, I'm assuming when he passes away. We have an opportunity to save more lives around the world than ever before, is what he says in a tweet. And I want to do even more to help. That's why I'm giving away virtually all of my wealth through the Gates Foundation over the next 20 years. He says that his net worth will drop 99% over the next 20 years. How does this work? How do I participate? Money laundering, tax evasion is what people are saying. People don't really like Bill Gates, of course. They're saying, of course, he's pushing for all this climate change incentive stuff, saying that cows are causing methane in the atmosphere and global warming. I don't know, a lot of other random stuff. But he's good friends with Trump. I think he is at least. I don't know. I saw them shake hands once or twice. Who knows? Maybe this is ill-intentioned. Maybe it's benevolent. We don't really know. But I'll gladly take some of that money if I can purchase more Bitcoin. And obviously not at these high prices. I'd wait for a drop once again. What happened here? What did I do? What did I actually do? Can I undo? Okay, thank you. I thought I messed up my whole chart forever. When would I buy Bitcoin? Round over here. When we get a drop. Oversold. Right over there. Probably. I usually pay attention to 4-hour chart RSI. Obviously also paying attention to super trend in a weekly chart with default settings, by the way. 10-3 super trend, not 5-5. To check whether or not we are still on an uptrend, which we still are. The bull market is still active. I checked this historically and it works, in my opinion. It tells you when we were in a bear market, which happened throughout literally all of 2022. Right over here, right? I'm not crazy. When did bull market start again? January 2023, when Bitcoin practically bottomed out at 16K, 15K. Nobody wanted to buy Bitcoin there. Weekly super trend flipped green. That should have been your buy signal to sell your house, sell your car, sell your wife, go all in, and rise to 100K, which we are right now. And until this flips bearish, I will continue buying at oversold 4-hour super trend 5-5 sections, because it like literally works. Let me go back to the last time we were at 100,000, right around over here. Oversold, you would have purchased here. Oversold, you would have purchased here. You can take profits as well when we're over purchased, which we did not see. But if you buy here and you held, you did not get liquidated. You also have to have good risk management, right? Don't over leverage, especially on something as volatile as Bitcoin. Ethereum was painful though. Ethereum, everybody got liquidated. Even if you use something as safe as 3x leverage, you're going to get liquidated. Bitcoin went from Ethereum went from $4,000 to 1,300, was it? Yeah, nothing could have saved you. Not even a 2x leverage. That's just how bad it was. But anyway, that's besides the point. Oversold areas right over here. Easy purchase, easy DCA, easy accumulation. When would you sell? You take some profits. You sell the ones that you purchased the highest at this level. And then ultimately you keep the ones that you purchased the lowest, which will give you even more profit when this inevitably rises and gives you an oversold area once again. I do think we will get some decay. Like I said, a lot of factors. Resistance. We do have an ongoing conflict that's just in the background for India, Pakistan. We will be using 100,000 as a support, though. That will be important. If we do go below that, we will be oversold, and this would be an accumulation zone likely at around 98,000. It's at least what I'm projecting right now. We'd still be in an uptrend, right? I showed you those 3 indicators: super trend, Fibonacci, resistance, well, previous resistance, now support from pivots, serving as a low point. And I'm just assuming here, if RSI does become oversold right over here, with even more confirmation, I would purchase. But I think I could be wrong as well, right? This could break. We could break the support and go further down, and then we would be oversold in the RSI. That would be an actual like entry position, right? But this is still going to continue going higher. I'm talking like overall in the long term. We got another factor, of course, as to why we think that, because of N2 money supply. We also have a Bitcoin conference coming May 27 to May 29, which will be in Las Vegas. JD Vance is going to be a guest speaker there. Same way how Donald Trump was a guest speaker last year in Nashville, Tennessee, which got him a lot of the crypto bro votes. And he mentioned then and there that he would be firing Gary Gensler. He mentioned that the USA will be the Bitcoin capital of the world. Stuff like that. And so far, he's followed through on what he has said. So that is great. Moving on. also did want to talk about this because it is indeed interesting. It's a hot topic for a lot of people. This whole relationship with USA and Israel. Apparently, the friendship between Trump and Netanyahu is kind of ending. It's a bit strange. I don't know. Um, they were still getting the financial aid, right? All the time. Um, Trump is and the United States are in between the conflict of Israel and it seems like Israel and Iran right now. They're trying to reach a peace deal or whatever with Hamas as well. Trump was a big influence in that. Like, you guys better release those hostages and get into a ceasefire agreement. Otherwise, all hell will break loose, is what he said. And they follow through with that, right? He released most of the hostages, I'm pretty sure. I don't know what the current update on it is right now, but I don't hear any more bombings or nukes or killings or none of that. Missiles, not nukes. But yeah, Israeli army radio reports that President Trump has decided to cut contact with Netanyahu, stating that Netanyahu and his associates act arrogant and try to push around the president. It's another thing that Trump also mentioned, like, and people were also scared of this. We're not going to let Israel push the United States into a war with Iran. Because that was another big thing that people were scared of too. Oh, will they reach a nuclear deal? Like, we don't want Iran to have nukes. But then, what if they don't listen? Do we just attack them? And if we attack them, they're going to make nukes even faster and then start nuking everybody. Like, it's going to be a big issue, right? So, I don't know. They were mentioning that they were starting to also have some meetings to get that resolution done. I haven't heard any updates as of yet. Anyways, IDF Radio says even more information on this. Close associates of Trump told the Israeli Minister of Strategic Affairs, Ron Dermer, that the president feels disrespected and manipulated by Netanyahu, and that there's nothing he hates more than appearing as easily manipulated in public. Trump is really holding his ground against Israel. He got Israel to stop their tariffs after Liberation Day. The first person to visit Trump was Netanyahu. And he said, as of right now, we're stopping our tariffs against the United States. And then they asked Trump, will the United States also stop tariffs on Israel? He said no. Because, they're getting enough money from us anyway, which congratulations, you guys get like $200 billion in foreign aid. And yeah, he stood his ground and didn't bend the knee, I guess, as many people thought he would. Trump is also no longer demanding that Saudi Arabia recognizes Israel for a nuclear deal with the US. There's a lot of stuff going on. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth also canceled his Israel trip amid Trump's break in direct contact with Netanyahu. It seems like they're fully, just cutting ties with Israel here. And here's a full list of what has happened within the past week. Some of it's true, some of it's not, because it's from Jackson Hinkle, but it's a good list, and I'll read through it anyway. Trump posted a video of Jeffrey Sachs insulting, I guess, Netanyahu. Trump states that Netanyahu won't drag the U.S. into a war with Iran. Trump pursues negotiations with Iran instead of Israel's request to bomb Iranian nuclear sites. That was also one big issue. Trump also fired, I covered this yesterday, he fired the National Security Advisor, Waltz, over his close association with Netanyahu. Trump also made peace with Yemen's Ansar Allah, allowing Israeli ships to continue being targeted. That's probably fake news, I think. Yeah, he redesignated Houthis as terrorists, not making peace. He mentioned this when Mark Carney visited Trump at the White House. Trump said, yeah, we got into a bit of a deal with the Houthis in Yemen. They asked us to stop bombing them, so we'll stop bombing them, and that's all there is to it. Israeli media reports Trump cut off contact with Netanyahu over reportedly being treated with disrespect. Trump's Secretary of Defense abruptly canceled the planned trip to Israel that I just showed you, Pete Hegseth. And Trump ambassador to Israel states the U.S. does not need Israel's approval to make peace with Yemen. Apparently no evidence that could also be false. And I don't know about the specifics about Pete Hegseth canceling his trip, Apparently, according to Grok, that is false. But I don't know. There's multiple posts talking about that, so maybe it is indeed true. And this is the other conflict that's currently going on with Pakistan and India. Most recent update I have for you is that the defense minister from Pakistan, Khawaja Asif, declared that full-scale war with India is now inevitable. Good thing is that no other nations will be involved, I don't think. It's just going to be these two fighting it out. Let them fight it out. I don't know. He says that we don't see any option other than war due to India's aggressive actions. We must pay them back in the same coin. To be fair, Pakistan started it, or the terrorists in Pakistan started it. And India responded, now it's Pakistan's turn. And apparently, not confirmed news, but according to this, I can't read this, but it says Pakistan launches response attack on India. Operation Bunyan-ul-Marsuz starts. Check the fact. Government of Pakistan announced Operation Bunyan-ul-Marsuz on May 10. That's not today, that's tomorrow. How do they announce it tomorrow? Well, they live in the future. They do, they genuinely do. As a response to India's Operation Sindoor, which targeted terrorist sites in Pakistan after the Kashmir terrorist attack. Reports confirm Pakistan launched a Fateh-2 missile, which was intercepted by India. Okay, so they're actually going at it. Both nations claim defensive actions. Yeah, it's true, but, like, who's right? Details on targets and civilian impact remain unclear. The United Nations and others urge restraint to avoid escalation. Of course, everybody's always going to say that. So it's true. They're literally going at it as we speak. Is it even trending? Probably. No. I don't see it trending. It's probably just completely irrelevant. Here's Pakistan. Trending number 8. Yeah, visual confirmation of a plane crash. Okay. It's war. India has initiated a large-scale missile attack on Pakistan, striking the capital city of Islamabad. Cool. So it's there. And of course, Jackson Hinkle obsessively reporting over this. Yeah. So it's happening. But doesn't really have to impact Bitcoin. I don't see why it would. This is not likely to escalate to a third world war. It's just something between these two countries. Yeah. Yeah, has nothing much to do. When it had to do with, like, Israel and Iran, that could have involved a lot more countries and a World War III and nukes, right? Because, you know, with Iran, you have China defending it, Russia, North Korea, and then with Israel, and also the rest of the Islamic countries. And then with Israel, you have United States, Europe defending it, NATO. Really, that's it. But there's strong Axis powers. Is it Axis powers? I don't know. I don't know my World War II history. But you get the point. So, yeah. That's all the updates we have for now. 43 minutes of streaming. Great. We just broke 103,000. Yeah, we're going to stay around these levels for the week. And Saturday, going to be a slow day. Oh, I have been starting to trade Forex. I've automated a strategy and I'm letting a bot do it. It kind of entered inappropriately. Like, I think you guys know what my previous, like, 1 hour, 5-minute strategy entries kind of looked like with the moving averages. Yeah, it entered while the moving averages were already crossed up. To be fair, I started it in the middle of a session. Like, it should be starting earlier. Like at 9 o'clock. So it entered a bit late, but it still put the stop loss take profit positions correctly and it risked the correct amount. So I let that ride out and I'll see how that goes. That's the update that I have for trading bots. Next week, I don't think we're getting anything as crazy, right? A lot of Feds talk today. I'm pretty sure nothing came of that. Literally, you can just tell by this. No volatility at all from these Feds talking. Core inflation rate. Okay, we are getting some economic data next week. PPI, CPI as well, and building permits. Nice. this? Is this the week after? Yeah. Week after, nothing. Literally nothing. Durable goods. Yeah. And FOMC minutes, that'll be important. May 28. That's way too far out, though. So a bit of economic data next week, and that's all. Great. Before I go as well, I want to look at what the ETFs have been doing. I'm assuming they're inflows. They are indeed not inflows, except for BlackRock. We don't have the report of that yet. BlackRock is likely going to clutch 34 million outflows so far today, thanks to Grayscale. But previous days, 142 million inflow, 117 million inflow. Interesting. I thought it was going to be much more. But man, there was a lot of heavy inflows the weeks before. It's kind of like they knew Bitcoin was going to reach 100,000. Or maybe it was just a matter of time. It was a ticking time bomb and everybody knew. Alright, well, yeah. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe. New videos out already. I'll try to upload a bit more. And